What are we going to do if the current global situation continues for maybe 5 years? What does it mean for people like me that live off grid? What does it mean for people like you who live somewhere around the world, in the city, in the village, on the lake, on the river, on your boat? What is it going to look like? Say it affects basic things besides oil and gas. What are we looking at? I'm thinking after oil, it might come to essentials, basics like salt, sugar, soap, cooking oil. Then what? These are really very, very strange times. But I've had a realization. I've had thoughts going through my brain, my mind, and wondering how that will affect us. Where are we headed? Because it looks like an impossibility currently, but is it really? I've had a few things to think about, like how does one survive when things don't change or they change for the worst? Because currently it's oil. Let's look at oil. A person living off grid, how do you live with that? If you have to use a boat, which boat uses gas, 2T oil to mix in the fuel so it can run? Yes, in my situation, what does that mean? These are really very, very strange times where it only affirms no one knows what is really, really happening. People we trust don't know anything, don't have anything straight to tell us. It's all a game of speculation. I recently was thinking about this, and what came to mind was oil, crude oil. After it has been processed, so many things that come off of it. Fuel for cars, diesel, aeroplane fuel, you know, all those things, byproducts, grease, petroleum. By petroleum I mean the Vaseline petroleum, plastic, polyethylene, PPE, all those things. So, but I've also seen people like, is it Oliver Green? That guy in the US who's recycling plastic. And then I tried to read about the guy. I thought he was the one that invented that kind of recycling process. But no, it has been around. But big companies don't want to invest in that process because of how long it takes. But he has simplified the process. He uses solar. And I've been thinking, if he can do that, can someone living off grid go into a line of producing petroleum or recycled fuel from these plastic waste that is everywhere in the world? And how would that look like? So all the things have been coming in, wondering if that helps, and thinking about how many kgs of plastic do you need to make a 20-liter jerrycan full of fuel. I think it's about time we start thinking about this. And then it brings me back to Cuba in the same breath. How Cuba has managed to survive all this long after being affected by the embargoes that were put on it in the past. How some people have come up with cars that use charcoal. How some people have come up with solar cars, those electric cars, but also with electric cars, they don't have that sustainable or that reliable electric grid that you can all the time charge that electric car. So I'm thinking if everything comes to the worst, because gas is there, the fuel is there, the petroleum is there, but then with everything happening in the world, where everyone wants to be the one in charge, how does that affect us? Do you think it's that time in history where we need to go and start investing in things, in our resources, in fuels that don't rely on other countries to supply? And I've also been thinking, how much plastic is in the world that can be recycled into fuel? Does it mean with everything that has been produced from plastic, if you were to recycle it back into fuel, how long can that push the world? And I've been thinking as well, is it time to go back onto the drawing table and reimagine fuel? And I've been constantly thinking about such things. In only a month of this war, what haven't we got right? What are we missing? Because all the billionaires think they have this under control. Because the fuel price doesn't affect them, the food price doesn't affect them, but it affects us, those at the bottom of the food chain. And I've been thinking, is it really bad to be at the bottom of the food chain? Is it up to us to live safely at the bottom of the food chain? Because technically oil lives at the bottom of the food chain. It's where we found it, then made it what it is. So all these things have been flooding my mind, and I've been constantly thinking, where do we see ourselves in 5 months' time if the current situation continues? This one bombing the strait, this one sending troops, this one no one knows what is really happening. They know what they're going to do, but they don't know what the outcomes of what they're going to do. My name is Peter, and this is the Outpost Homestead.